Today is Saturday, November 26th, 2016. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the Listener Feedback Show for Millennials vs. Gen X, Episode 10.
And what a doozy 10 was. Double 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like it was 10 and 11, but we have to list it as 10.
Yes, we've established that.
But I would say based on the feedback, folks liked it. But let's get into the specifics.
Moa.
Yeah, let's get into the specifics of that. First up, let's check in with Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. And I gotta say, what a great Thanksgiving double boot here, baby. I gotta go, whoa, baby. Now that's how you do a double episode there. Not these wasted, predictable season episodes with like San Juan del Sur and South Pacific, which were very predictable on the Thanksgiving double boot. This was anything but predictable. So let's get cooking. The first hour had much to do with David not wanting to go in the challenge, this, that. But clearly you could see now he's being very threatening and starting to be more likable. He definitely has redeemed himself, but I still don't see him winning. I never would have thought David would have won that immunity challenge. He was making me shake my head at that reward there, not wanting to play. And I gotta say, wow, I never thought Chris would have got blindsided like that. And now for the second part, my goodness, that was just epic and doozy there. You had David not having to participate in that reward challenge, and I kind of wish Adam would have used his steal there. And Jay, kudos to him for saving himself and winning the immunity challenge when he needed it there. But we got to get into the Jess Rock thing there. Man, I got to say, guys, that was so sad to see her go like that. And once again, David wasted his idol. Womp, womp, womp. 0 for 2 is David. Clearly he didn't do what Kelly Wentworth did 2 seasons ago. He should have somehow stuck with his guns and kept and gave it to Hannah there. Clearly Hannah's starting to have a better read on things there. And even she was trying to calm him down at the beach. She could sense that the tides were turning there with her and Zeke. But again, David listened to Adam and he voted and he gave it to Ken. But my hat's off to Sunday there. She was convincing enough for Adam and then for Adam to tell David to give it to Ken. So Sunday's the wild card there to me, and a little bit of Brett, it seemed too. Wow. But poor Jess, though, never would have thought it came to that. So she's right up there with Pascal from Marquise at the Final Four, and the last time it happened was the First Blood versus Water when Katie drew the unlucky rock there when Sierra flipped. But wow, that was just epic. I feel so bad for Jess. She may have done some damage there, but who knows? Love that she gave her legacy advantage to Ken. Let's see how that pans out, guys. I don't know what's going to happen now. Now the loved ones are coming. Let's see what Adam does now. Wow, my head is spinning. I know for sure it's going to be an epic finish here. Take care.
It does seem like it's stacking up to be quite an ending, doesn't it?
It does. You know, I hadn't talked about this before, but how's Hannah going to feel when she finds out Adam had an idol he could have put in play as well to save, the situation, to save the numbers, and to go into, the next a few weeks with the numbers and pick off the others.
Well, this is sort of the flip side of giving up on him, right? And Hannah and Zeke have both written him off. So anytime you write someone off, and we didn't get to see a lot of interaction with him and anyone else, right? It doesn't seem like he's getting to have substantial talks. Maybe he's still included on the periphery. Yeah.
We're just not being shown.
Yeah, could be that case.
Well, I don't blame him for saving it for himself, but
Nope.
It's just a thought. How are they going to feel when they find out you had an idol and you didn't help save us?
I don't know why anyone should really think that they're entitled to that.
Well, of course, but people do, whether they should or not. They just think, wow.
Yeah, I don't know that that's generally
Especially
the case
since,
that everyone thinks that.
David played both of his idols for someone else.
She certainly seemed to think that David might need to play his for her, but I think that's because he probably told her that he really, really trusts her and that he would use it for her.
Stop it.
Oh, come on. That's perfectly legitimate.
Okay.
That's not David bashing. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got an email from Jen.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor friends. I'm writing this as we travel south on the 99 freeway through Sacramento, on our way home from a wonderful holiday with family in Washington State. Let me start by saying, wow, what an amazing string of episodes we've had lately. I was so impressed at Hannah's correct hunch that Zeke would turn his sights to her when she betrayed her loyalty to David. She is not the most polished player by far, but she does seem to understand people and how they think. I was not impressed that they didn't act on her hunch. If they would have gone with what I believe was their original plan, I think Zeke would be on the jury and Jessica would still be in the game.
Yep.
During the crazy tribal council, the whole "we're voting for Ken" thing seemed so sloppy and obvious on Sunday's part. I can't believe David believed it. We were screaming at the TV when David played his. Their only play going forward was to draw rocks. In the post-Cochran area of Survivor, no good ever comes to someone who betrays their alliance to save him or herself from drawing a black rock. With this group, where I think everyone is playing boldly, there's no place for a coward. Jessica was simply a victim of fate. However, if I was Jessica, I would have done one thing differently. I would have picked a rock last rather than first. Then it would have truly been left to fate. Well, that's it for me. I can't wait to hear what everyone else's thoughts are on these awesome episodes. Cheers. All right, thanks, Jen. We're glad you had a happy holiday.
Yeah, 99 is usually not a pleasant highway. I hope it was not foggy. We have bad accidents on 99 when it's foggy. So I hope you got home safe and sound there. And Jen and Pete both mentioned Sunday, and she was indeed pivotal in that episode in the big fake-out for wasting yet another idol.
Yep.
She had certainly seen David do that before. Good deal. Thanks, Jen. Next up, we got a call from Harold.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and the rest of the Survivor fan podcast family. This is Harold from Boynton Beach, Florida. First off, Wednesday's 2-hour epic Survivor show was fantastic. Seeing Chris get voted off was actually a big move, and I think it was a smart move because Chris will be a powerful player down the road. But here we go for David. David, you're only as good as your weakest link, and right now Hannah is your weakest link in your alliance pod or alliance, whatever it's called, cluster. David needs to, I believe, work on Jay and Adam and get him over there and Will and get those three over on his side of the fence there. They need to get rid of the Rainbow Coalition of Zeke and whatever his name is, because as long as Zeke is playing mastermind there, Dave, you have no chance. Hannah, you have no chance. And I believe, Jay, you're doing the smart thing. You took the target off your back by just sitting back and letting them battle it out. But make sure, Jay, that you pick which side you're on, because I think Jay is going to win if he can make it to the final three because of the fact that he's already got basically 2 votes on his side. And I believe that if, when Will gets voted out, he'll have Will on his side. I think Hannah would also go with Jay just because I think she's a kind of a follower. That's my take, and I can't wait to hear the show later, and have a good one.
Thanks, Harold. Yeah, definitely the jury's getting stacked up with some votes that could go for a millennial. So, too bad they didn't make sure that it was full of millennials before they went after each other, huh? Next up, we got an email from Titus from Boston. Hello, Joanna Stacy, all you Survivor fans out there. Titus here from brisk Boston, feeling double blindsided. My JSFL took a huge hit but when the episode is this good, I could care less because it was a barn burner.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are in that boat for sure. Firstly, I'm very sad Jess's game is over. She was playing wonderfully, and I appreciated her spunk and fight in every one of the challenges. So much respect for her. Hannah's game is maturing. I enjoyed her moment with David on the beach when Jay was passing by. You look beautiful like a Peruvian Aussie just a couple days after her confessional about flirting with Ken. She's playing her heart out and has many options in this game. Brett makes me laugh so often, and it was nice to see Brett come out in his own way on the show, but I think he's on the edge. He seems to be getting snippy, especially at tribal councils. Adam, Jay, and Will are not necessarily targets as much as they used to be. Somehow they're swing votes, not to mention Adam saved Zeke by telling David to play the idol on Ken. Speaking of Jay, he's playing idol roulette and might just make it fairly far by just holding off on his idol. Sunday somehow got what she wanted. Now let's see how the game changes with Jess gone. Is Ken officially in trouble? Yes, the ants know the deal. Those were some smart ants. Oh, and David. That's all I can say. The recent seasons have displayed very clearly that no matter how revolutionary you want to be in the game, with trust clusters and voting blocks and be-all, end-all, is that you need a solid alliance. The game only gets sloppier and more complicated the longer you hold out on solidifying your alliance. It showed most clearly in Second Chances, and now we saw it again where these smaller groups try to run the game as friendly clusters, though I guess this is a product of everyone wanting to make moves at the same time. Is this season so out of control because no one wants to buckle down? Yes. If we continue this trajectory, there are surely more blindsides to come, making for a very unpredictably tough JSFL season. By the way, previously I claimed to have lost faith in this season a few episodes ago. I take that back. Ciao for now. Thanks, Titus. Great to hear that it's working for you there. Next up, we got a call from Brad.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Brad from Los Angeles. I have one thing to say. No! No. I've been eliminated by drawing rock. I was sitting pretty. Everything was going well. Chris got eliminated. I was like, okay, we won the power struggle. And boom, Jessica eliminates herself. Earl Cole is the GOAT, my alter ego in the fantasy league, was running everything at the top, right below, was in second, and now it's all over. I've been blindsided. And now my strategy is gone. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like Jay, laying on the beach, and I have no idea what to do. Well, that was an epic double episode, and that's all I have to say for now. There's no strategy, just crying and pain. Hope everybody's having a good Turkey Day.
I'm not laughing at you crying in pain. It was just how you described it. Making it sound funny. And I'm glad to hear a call from you. I was reading some articles earlier in the week, and there was a story in the LA Times that said there was a 570% increase in traffic accidents in LA, where normally, like the previous week, there had been 30. There was like 270
Did you see those pictures of the 405?
No.
Oh, it was just miles and miles and miles, just bumper to bumper.
Yeah. Well, we've actually been in that before.
Yeah.
So seeing it's not that big a deal. But I was definitely thinking about Brad and Jacqueline and Christy and Mike K. Everybody just down there. And because they got the rain, the accident meter just jumped off the rails. So glad to hear from you. And
it's a lot easier to see it.
Sorry for your pain and loss in JSFL. It's too bad your plans went up. But don't give up hope. There's still lots of points at the end. Just like in Survivor, you can surprise everyone. Thanks again, Brad. Next up, we got an email from Kate in Australia.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. I first just wanted to say hi from Oz. I always appreciate your opinions and your banter, or squabbles. I really felt for David this episode. Plus, the poor dude looks like he is dying. I'm unsure how the season will play out, but I feel Zeke might have played too hard and might be out soon. I also think David has Hannah in his pocket, which is lovely. They could be a nice final duo. Best wishes, and thanks for your podcast. All right, thank you, Kate. Good to hear from you. Up next, we have audio from Carl.
Yeah.
Hello, Joanne and Stacey. It's Carl here from New Zealand. Wow, what an episode. A double banger, you could say. Some of the best tribal council we've seen so far. David and Zeke are really owning this game, and I'm really impressed with David's gameplay. It's getting better and better, and he won that immunity challenge, which was great to see. It's great to see him build his character and build his strength over the time of the series. He is really a contender now, more so than I ever thought he was before. It's like watching Lord of the Flies. That movie, I don't remember what it's about, but somehow it reminds me of it. Adam is my USB, and I don't know whether that is a good option or not, but I couldn't give him up. I didn't want to lose those points, much like Joanne. Couldn't give up my 24 points. I think Adam's flying under the radar at the moment, but he really does need to pick up his game or play a couple of big moves. Maybe we'll see him use his advantage this week, but whether that helps him or not, let's see. It was pretty cool to see Brett come out to Zeke and to the nation, or the rest of the world as it may be. But what about the fact that he's a cop? I thought he might have came clean about the whole thing, but it seems not, or unless the editor's not showing us that. I actually had Jessica down to go this week, and she did, but not in the way that I thought she would have went. I also had Will down to go, but he's flying under the radar at the moment. Looks like he might be going to make a big move next week. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I see Jessica's trying to sell her stone for $1 million. Good luck to her. I agree in part with Jeff that it did seem like that they had played before at that tribal council. I really was surprised it came down to drawing rocks, and I'm sure if those players really did get to play again, that it wouldn't happen again. And I'm so glad that Taylor's gone, and I don't see him being invited back to play. Well, that's about it for me. Thank you for everything that you do. I look forward to next week's episode, and I look forward to next week's podcast.
Thank you, Carl. Yeah, I saw that she tweeted out that she was selling that black rock. It was available for sale for $1 million.
Oh, she kept it.
Yeah. Well, at least she made like she did in the little. She made it look like a
I'll paint
Craigslist
a rock for
ad.
you, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyone willing to give $1 million?
Yeah. Great.
Sure.
Thanks for sending that in. Great to hear from you, Carl. Next up, we got an email from Nicola in Lexington, Kentucky. Hello, everyone. In the immortal words of Pete, woo, yeah, baby. What an epic night of Survivor. Great challenges, great rewards, and great gameplay. My JSFL score was a huge 3 this week, but I don't even care. It was a great couple of hours. I'm loving this season. The location is stunning, and everyone in the cast is leaving everything on the beach. This is why I am a super fan of new, not returning players. I'm with you. I wasn't too upset to see Chris go, although I do wish they had worked a little harder to flush the idol from Jay. Then the second hour, wow. The way David and Zeke can read each other and the dance that ensued was compelling and culminating in what has to be one of the top 10 tribals of all time. As you know, I'm watching with my daughter this season, and she is a newbie. I was trying to explain to her how a draw and rocks work, and I tell her there's no way they'll go to rocks. Someone will flip. Nope, not happening. What? Jessica, how could you not? The time that Zeke put in with Brent definitely paid off. There was no way he was switching his vote, and he was very vocal about it and tried his best to get everyone to vote Hannah. But no one caved. Rocks were drawn. Jess went home. I can understand why she was so distraught, but really, come on. Sadly, you did this to yourself. You had your own fate in the game. Watching the Ponderosa video, she actually seemed to recover pretty quick. Also watching Ponderosa, I'm so glad I don't have to be there with Taylor. What a jerk. He's so smug and condescending. I just want to slap that smirk off his face. Oh, Nicola. Well, bring on next week. No clue what will happen, but I'm sure it will be another roller coaster ride.
I think you might remind her of someone.
Yeah, I hope everyone here in the States had a safe and happy holiday and were able to spend time with loved ones. To our Aussie friends, bring in the summer. Joanne and Stacy, thanks again for all you do. Hope Zed has recovered from his procedure. Cheers. Thanks, Nicola. I think he's doing pretty well.
I think he is, yes.
All things considered, he's managing. He's
honoring.
He's testy today, I guess.
He is.
But we'll see. I'll have to edit out a segment where he jumped up here and caused a problem early on in the recording already.
Yeah, made me bump everything. He was trying to get through the middle of the love seat here in between us. But his back paw was... His claws were
using you for
legs.
leverage, yeah.
Yes, he was pushing on my
we'll
leg.
Make sure that's not in the actual episode that we published today. Thanks, Nicola. Next up, we got audio from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne, Stacy, and all my survivor friends. This is Rashmi from Perth. Wow, crazy episode. Emotional, gripping, shocking, twist upon twist upon twist. And I thought it was either Will or Jay or Adam. And was I wrong? At the last minute, I went and changed from Jay to Jessica. As the show progressed, I was regretting having made that change. And then, wham, I got the point. I was yelling at the TV for someone to flip, as there is no way that I would give up my shot at the million for either Zeke or Hannah and go for the rocks. I found it funny that everyone was yelling at each other to switch votes when they could have done it themselves. Either way, it made for just great TV. Poor Jessica, we'll never forget her heartbreaking breakdown and crying. I felt so awful for her. That scene will be remembered. Then the scene between Brett coming out to Zeke was so beautiful. Made me love both of them. But by the end of the episode, I just didn't like either one of them. I'm ready for Adam to go, but then Brett and Zeke started bullying him. Ugh, I just can't warm up to bullies. Now, the scene between Hannah and Ken at the beach was quite touching. Obviously, Hannah's tight shots weren't bothering her. I think it's either that, or maybe it is all that stuff in her teeth that was bothering her when Zeke was talking to her at the water well, and Hannah forgot to lie straight out and kept rolling her eyes and thinking about stuff. Jokes aside, what I saw was that Hannah was siding up with Ken against Zeke. At least Hannah is still there for another week. And Jay is still there. And he is an idol. And everybody knows it. I think he's gonna slip through. And yes, Sunday is also there, in case anyone forgot. I am on Team Ken. He's playing a good, strategic, strong, and for the most part, under the radar game. He's good in challenges, useful around camp, and is nice to people. And now he has the advantage. Plus, I do not look away when he's on screen. Till next time, cheers.
That's what I was thinking.
No averting your eyes, Rashmi? My goodness.
Yeah, I would love to see Ken win. I think he would be a worthy winner.
I can't say I see that yet.
We don't
but
care.
I understand. Thanks again, Rashmi. Next up, we got an email from Barry in Starkvegas, Mississippi.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and all the Survivor fans. What a great episode. I have 2 burning questions. Would it be a final 3 or 2? The format of Gen X versus Millennials sets up well for a final 2, with 1 finalist from each side, an almost guaranteed millennial winner because there would be 6 millennials and 5 Gen Xers on the jury, and I don't believe any millennial will vote for a Gen Xer. Maybe Adam.
Well, I think Zeke would.
But he is likely still trying to impress Jay, Taylor, and 2L Michelle. And the millennial in a final 2 is likely to be Jay. In a final 3, if the millennials do the math, then they'll realize that having 2 Gen X and 1 millennial will give them a 5-4 voting advantage, while 2 millennials and 1 Gen X is a 5-5 deadlock. So, will it be final 2 or final 3? The second question is, would a millennial vote for a Gen Xer? Zeke may have voted for Chris, Boomer Sooner, but Zeke made sure he would not have to do that. The millennials seem to be cohesive. I can see several Gen Xers voting for certain millennials, but no millennials voting for a Gen Xer, which leads me to believe that a millennial will win. The one scenario that results in a Gen X win is all Gen Xers in the final tribal, but they have to get by 2 hidden immunity idols to do that. I find all the millennials to be sniveling, entitled brats.
Whoa.
Hopefully, my USB Ken can use his advantage to pull off a win, but I think the Gen Xers have left Jay and Will in the game too long, and it will cost them dearly. Many thanks, y'all. All right, and thank you, Barry.
Yeah, interesting predictions there. I think Hannah and Zeke and Adam, being huge fans of the game, they would probably vote for a Gen Xer. I don't think it's a generation thing, especially with Zeke. He's always said he didn't feel like he was part of that stereotype generation anyway.
Well, some of them have said that you know, I think it was Michelle that said she wanted someone that was still likable, but somebody that got their hands dirty. Mm-hmm. And would have, own up to that.
Yep.
They got their hands dirty, but they didn't want someone, I guess, evil. But who that would be in their opinion, I don't know.
Right. Good deal. Thanks again, Barry. Next up, we got audio from Drew. Drew and his crew.
Hey, everyone. This is Drew from Utah with, say, Charlie. Say, Adelaide. Well, Charlie and Charlie. No, Charlie and Adelaide. So just doing some quick Saturday morning feedback on these 2 really great episodes on Thanksgiving week. First of all, I hope everyone had a really happy Thanksgiving. We did, and it was fun to see lots of family and eat lots of great food. So anyway, let's get to business. Yeah, I just really like a double elimination week, whether it's in the same episode or even better, a double episode. This just seems like a good way to kind of clean house. But in this case, it was also really, really exciting and just totally unexpected. I mean, I guess a lot of people got their vote points, and I will say I did get all my safe points, which was a close one because I did have Zeke safe, and I thought he was going to go. I thought he was gone. And, at that point, it was going to be fine with me. I don't really like the way that Zeke is turning out to play now. It's funny, I'll just say a lot of times the bully Ed turn out to be the bullies. So that's all I'll say about that right now. Gosh, there's lots of noise around here. But it's like they're getting every single toy in the house and putting it right by the computer. Yeah. Basically, Zeke and Brett were, I thought, ganging up on David, making some personal attacks. I didn't like it, and David did a great job of deflecting it, so good for him. There were some great challenges and some interesting interplay with a lot of these players. I will say that last challenge I thought was kind of a dud because I was like, how hard is that puzzle? Whoop-de-doo, you can look at it, and then I'm so dumb I didn't realize they were doing it blind. So apparently it was a lot harder than I at first thought because only Jay got through it. But I have to say, he's doing pretty well for himself here up against the wall, literally up against, well, a rock anyway. I actually put Jay and Will to go because I really thought that those millennials were just gonna kind of little by little get taken out, but I went a totally wrong direction, and I didn't feel good about Jay, so I switched to Sunday, and I still went in the wrong direction, but that's okay. Oh, so we got to talk about that second tribal council because, man, Jessica, that was just heartbreaking. Her reaction was just so sad, and it's funny because I thought, she probably wouldn't have been brought back. But because of how things went down, I bet she will. It's like an unfinished business sort of thing. If she'd just been voted out, it's like, oh, well, she had potential, whatever. But now it's like she has to. I feel like it's a guarantee. It's funny that Chris tried so hard to get her out. He didn't, and then she was next down anyway. Okay, I'm still kind of on this David playing a character thing. At least, he's playing up this, it's kind of what Zeke was making fun of him for, but this journey of his, and, he's like, oh, poor me, I'll just sit out, and everyone's like, no, and then he's like, gets his pats on the back, and he gets his story, and he gets his screen time, so I don't know. If he is, as Julie said, it's, brilliant, because if he is playing in that character, it's brilliant, because he's fooling maybe the editors and maybe the audience, but maybe he's fooling no one. I don't know. Winner of the week, I think Ken. I'm just going to go with my USB 5 because he is sitting with a little advantage now, and he is pretty perceptive in the way he talks to people and how he responds to people, even people who are snotty to him and kind of condescend to him and all this stuff. That's you, Brett. Gosh, I just don't like Brett much anymore. I think the trust clusters thing is stupid too, but speaking of, I do like Hannah more and more these days, so she's just really not really getting it together. And loser of the week is Adam, and the reason it's Adam is because he burned that idol and kind of ruined everything, and if they just played it for Hannah, like I think they were considering, then Zeke would have been gone and it would have been awesome. Even though I would have lost a save point, but I would have taken it. So I hope everyone else had a really great Thanksgiving. We sure did. Charlie, do you have anything to say? No? Okay, say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye, baby. Okay, talk to you guys later. Bye.
Excellent. Thanks, Drew. Next up, we got an email from Ryan and Vicki in Portland. Hi, guys. I don't usually get to write in because my wife and I catch up on Saturday night, but Black Friday let us get ahead of the curve for once. I'm not sure Adam has played this well at all. He seemed to recognize after the fact the exact thing we were shouting at the TV for that reward challenge. Use your advantage, do it now. He should have taken that from David, who hadn't earned it. I'm not even sure David would have begrudged him that. If it's unfair to take a reward you haven't won, it's certainly even more unfair to take a reward you haven't even fought for, right? I think that's an excellent point. Mm-hmm. That's the best possible point there. There's still a way for him to use his advantage, I think, that won't, like we talked about in the recap, that won't get a lot of people angry. We don't know that Jessica really had any other option than to go to Rocks. David and Ken are her closest allies, and there was no way they were going to flip on each other. That being said, Dalton Ross made the excellent point that if she didn't want to go to rocks, the time to make sure that doesn't happen is before tribal council. Same thing. If she was going to flip, she should have flipped then and not let it go to a revote at all. Flipping after a tie at tribal just means she loses the jury votes of her former allies while gaining very little credit with her new allies, who will see her as weak under pressure and probably not vote for her either. It looks from the next time on like Adam's using his advantage on the loved ones visit, as my wife and I both feared that he would. I'm going to hold out hope that it's just the usual deceptive editing, but not a lot of hope. I cannot even imagine the distress and anger that stealing someone's loved one visit would cause, and if he steals it from Zeke, that could rebound sympathy back in Zeke's favor, though maybe that could be a good thing since we're cheering for Zeke to win in my house, and we worry that he might have peaked too early. My wife says Zeke's strength comes from playing sympathetically in the shadows, and that coming out as a power player controlling everything is not a good match for him. Witness Hannah's comments about him being condescending. I don't know that he can hold it together and sprint all the way to the end as the Godfather figure. Maybe he should have kept his lay-low strategy until day 33 or so. Thanks for all you do, and we can't wait to hear what everyone else thinks. Thanks, Ryan and Vicki. We enjoyed reading your thoughts. Next up, we got a call from Kenny.
Hey, guys. It's Kenny from Dallas. Well, these back-to-back episodes prove one thing and one thing only. When Survivor is great, it is great, and this is why we watch the show. Maybe just about the two best back-to-back special episodes I've seen in a long, long time. Great entertainment and truly edge-of-the-seat fun. It's hard for me to believe that the people who eventually have to pick rocks can't come to some agreement prior to picking the rocks so they don't have to do it in the first place. I think they could negotiate, they could do something instead of put themselves at risk for the sake of Hannah and Zeke. Speaking of winners edits, and I'm not going to talk about winners edits except to say that it's rare for someone to get a winner's edit for one of the contestants in which David was telling people that not Zeke was a strong physical threat, but Zeke was playing the best game. I think he is, and he's my USB, so I hope he goes all the way. But that was somewhat out of the ordinary. And how does Survivor compare to real life? Well, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Usual Suspects, but there was a character there named Verbal, also Kent, who may or may not have been Kaiser Sose, a mastermind. And David reminds me of that, someone who comes across as kind of a soft character who, I agreed, though, with Stacy that he seems to have gotten his reward from just surviving in the elements and proving to himself that he could do things he heretofore couldn't have done before. But his look when he was trying to manipulate people into voting for Zeke and his somewhat cunning in order to do that reminded me of someone who presents himself as helpless but may actually be something else. Very much reminded me of the movie Usual Suspects. So I think David will eventually get his comeuppance. I think that Hannah is simply crazy, but maybe one day we'll have a Survivor marriage, kind of like Rob and Amber. We'll get Ken and Hannah. That would be quite a day. Take care, guys. Bye.
Okay. I was with you till right at the end there, Kenny. Oh, thanks. Next up, we got a call from Joe.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all Survivor fans. Joe from Huntersville, North Carolina. On the road, visiting family for the holidays. So to see this episode, but did hear your podcast. So it appears that we are saying get rid of all the lawyers. So Chris and Jessica were the only two lawyers in the group, and they both got canned on the Thanksgiving or the pre-Thanksgiving episode. That is really, really interesting, and it sounds like a lot of strategy going on for the rest. So just can't wait to get home and get caught up on all of the minutia of the episode. So for now, just have fun, and we will talk to you guys later.
Excellent. Superfan Joe calling in from the road. Next up, we got an email from BostonMark.
2 great episodes. I love how much the players really want to win this year.
Amen.
Jessica turned out to be far from a mom on vacation. For example, she had a passion for the game and was a great competitor physically. I found her fascinating to look at because her face was so expressive. So many times she looked hopelessly conflicted and confused and strained.
I think
By
you
the
nailed
way,
that.
the Ponderosa clips show what she looks like after a good night's sleep and perhaps some makeup, and she is very attractive. I was relieved for her because I cannot imagine her in a courtroom with those survivor expressions.
Yeah.
She was facially stripped away and exposed. I wonder what she thought when she was watching herself. I look forward to your interview. We learned a lot about Brett this week. He is my USB, and I kept him even though I felt we had not learned much about him. This week we saw how he was very kind and supportive of David, and when David did not want to swim, and yet he went after him at one of the tribal councils. He has this mixture of wisdom and folly that makes him now interesting. I hope he is still flexible enough after bonding with Zeke to get away from Zeke when he needs to. I have no doubt that Zeke would drop him easily, but will Brett be able to drop Zeke? Or is Brett now forever loyal, which may be his demise? I have to give great props to my least favorite character, which is Sunday. Her telling them it was Ken at Tribal Council was brilliant, because Adam and Hannah fell for it. It convinces me that they were whispering real things and not just faking it. I agree with Joanne on that one. Sunday saved Zeke and herself with that. Good for the editors to show how that all took place. I still don't care much for Sunday, but she now has something to say if she gets to final tribal. So many strategic players left. Loving it. Oh, so many strategic players left. Loving it. Okay, thanks, Mark. How did I totally misread that the first time?
Fine. Good deal. Next up, Jody's back.
Yay!
Hey, Survivor family, it's Jody in Brisbane. It's been a while since I've contributed, but I just had to, because Zeke gave me full body tingles when he was talking about how little he thought about coming out, how little it concerned him, and it felt natural and, that he expected to be accepted. Yeah, full body tingles, because my little brother came out at 14 and kind of the same thing, no real great concerns. He was out at home, out at school, and I just remember being amazed that he would have that courage, but there was 14 years between us being born, so it was very different for the Millennials than it even was for the Gen Xers, and that really just struck me. So at tribal, the second tribal, I realized, oh my gosh, I don't want Zeke to go, and I don't want Hannah to go, and this is going to be awful, and I was so relieved when it turned out to be Jessica. Sucks to be her. Yeah, I was completely relieved. I'm still happy with Zeke as my USB, but I just couldn't bear for Hannah to be the one to go. So I'm really enjoying this season, which is a surprise to me, because when I saw the very first time I saw Millennials versus Gen X, I thought, this is going to suck, but it really doesn't. I've been really surprised. Well, it's always great, but yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought. All right, thanks guys. Bye.
Thanks, Jody. Great to hear from you again. Glad you're enjoying the season. Next up, let's check in with Jaywaffles.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all the Survivor fans at home. This is Jaywaffles from Canada with some observations for Survivor Gen X versus Millennials, episode 10 and 11. And who doesn't love a double episode? Granted, being from Canada, I don't get the luxury of a day off to watch it on my PVR, but you better believe I made time for it regardless. This is certainly an emotionally charged night of Survivor, right? I was really quite touched at David's offer to sit out the challenge based on his own admission that he would be a liability in the water. This may provide a clue to his overall victory in this underdog story arc, but I think it's more of just a feel-good story of what someone can do if they put their mind to it. David's reward is not $1 million, but rather his newfound confidence and willingness to eat, pray, and love, or whatever their Survivor equivalent is. And anyone else think they really buried the lead on the letters from the loved one? If you ask me, it's kind of a jerk move to not include it in the reward from the get-go. I'm sure that I would have worked a little bit harder for an emotional boost like that. I also wonder what the other castaways would have said back at the beach once they found out. Really odd that they did not feature it more, but maybe because they knew the loved one's visit was around the corner. I know the charge that I would have gotten from a letter from Jaywaffles would have certainly given me the strength to carry on, though. I really got a kick out of Hannah's use of the term trust cluster, and I like it much more than the ever-annoying voting block. I attribute this to my love of cereal, as it really sounds like it could be part of a complete breakfast. I think I'm onto something here. How delicious would a cereal be with clusters of honey and coconut? It could even include an idol in every box. I also wonder what the next iteration of alliance will be. A council coalition, a tribal treaty, or my favorite, a friendship formation. Unfortunately, I was spoiled for Chris's departure, so the excitement on the final vote out was lost, but I thought it was still a brilliant blindside against him. And sure, it took 11 episodes, but CBS finally gave us a decent comparison of Gen X versus Millennials. How great was it to see Brett and Zeke bond over their life experiences of growing up gay, and I'm so surprised to learn about it. I suppose his ability to lie about being a funeral director pales in comparison at this point. I also feel like we were not privy to something that happened before Tribal. Sure, the division between the tribe was fairly clear, but Brett's curt response to David, Hannah, and Ken seemed less like tribal banter and more like frustration. What a crazy vote out, too. Kudos to my new favorite person, Sunday, for her perfect bit of misdirection to get David so carelessly to misplay the idol for Ken. It was such a good move. And poor Jessica, I can't imagine how that would feel. But as you mentioned, Stacey, these are situations that people need to become fluid in their choices and not simply leave their place in the game to be decided by fate. Going forward, I'm really curious to see how my boy Zeke is going to handle the dynamics of his new friendship formation of Brett, Sunday, Will, and Jay over his old buddy Adam and Hannah. Whoever knew that David would be the ringleader this far into the game? He really has grown. Anyways, I hope my American friends had a great turkey day. I'd love to see that recipe for the cornbread dressing, please. I hope everyone survived the Black Friday shopping, and have a great rest of the holiday weekend. Bye.
Excellent. Thanks, Jaywaffles. And there's a little bit of cornbread dressing left, but not much. I predict it will be gone by the end of the day.
Yeah, we did kind of, that's Thanksgiving to us, is cornbread dressing, because I only fix it once, maybe twice a year if we do it again at Christmas. But we eat it at least once a year, but I don't fix it very often because we love it too much.
Yeah, there you go. We love it too much, and it gets better.
I know it does.
I mean, it's good when you bring it right out of the oven. We always enjoy it, but it's not. It's
just
actually better.
Later.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, maybe the seasonings, the sage and the
as it settles, or
poultry seasoning and stuff works its way.
Yeah,
through.
good deal.
Anyway.
Thanks, Jaywaffles. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose in Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, Wednesday's double episode was a tasty treat. However, Friday's 2-hour rewatch Plush slogging through 48 bonus clips was a tough task, given that I was still in a food coma. This week's other observations. When the two of you talked about Hannah crushing on Ken, I almost expected you to compare her to Pepe Le Pew pursuing the unfortunately striped lady cat. It seemed like the only one who didn't gossip about Jay's idol was Mark the Chicken. Alliances, voting blocks, trust clusters. What's next? Ballot buddies? Sheesh. During the first tribal council, every time Jeff read Chris, and then Jessica, my brain substituted John and Marcia. Another episode, another couple of examples of people targeting each other too soon. Chris and Jessica paid the price. Will David and Zeke follow next? During the first 2 legs of the Slither Challenge, why didn't anyone roll sideways? That's a good question. Was anyone else... I think we saw someone in the Dream Team do that, didn't we? Didn't someone?
I don't remember.
Now that I read that, that popped back in my head. I think one of the Dream Teamers tried that strategy. Was anyone else waiting for someone to yell in Arnold voice, "Get to the chopper"? Asset manager Zeke believes that you have to play Survivor the way you live your life. I believe I want someone else to manage my assets. I know that. I've heard that at work before. I'm like, nah, I don't think I want business run the way I run. I don't want people impulse buying at work. I doubt Kermit the Frog meant Brett and Zeke when he sang the Rainbow Connection. Note to Hannah, if that was your best poker face you showed Zeke, stay far away from the poker table. If Impatient Bully is the real Brett, I definitely preferred the purple drunk uncle facade.
Yeah, he was just, it just felt a little bullyish.
Yeah.
And I've always really liked Brett, but I didn't like that, on the personal attack thing. So, I don't know. It was just
I'm with Jaywaffles and
tribal council.
The other folks. I want to know what happened leading up to that.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can find out in the interview.
Yeah.
Trust Cluster Muck Who knew that was Stone Cold Steve Austin? Zeke's statement about realigning frequently should be a big red flag for his allies. Adam falling for Sunday's whisper ploy dropped him another notch in my eyes. I wonder if David's idol will be put back into play. I don't think so. They don't normally do that when there are that many.
And will anyone think that Adam did that deliberately rather than actually switching his vote? Did he, was he with the other side? Did he... I don't think he did that deliberately, but somebody might blame him.
They could, yeah. But he's pretty good at sticking up for himself when he thinks he's being questioned on that level. I hope that Ken is still around on day 36 and gets to play the legacy advantage. Stacy has a good point about David's story. On a season where we keep hearing about participation trophies, David's growth may be why he receives his and a pre-finals boot. I laughed during Jessica's Ponderosa video. It turns out that all 3 representatives of your justice system lied about their professions. I wonder if high-functioning lawdar is why prosecutor Jessica and defense attorney Chris had such a hard time getting along with each other. Next time, Purple Will finally wants to play. Will Adam use his advantage during the loved one's visit? If so, will it be a prelude to his quitting evac, or will he stay and alienate everyone? Anyway, that's all I have for now. Thanks, Joanna Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thank you, Josh. And let's wrap up this run of Jays with the audio from Jeremiah.
Hello, Joanna and Stacy. Hello, Survivor fans. This is Jeremiah Panhorst here, back with some feedback. I know it's been a little bit, but man, I had to talk about these 2 hours. Wow, how exciting and fun that was. This is why I love this show and this game so much, is whenever I see things like this take place. I mean, that first hour with the blind side of Chris really took me by surprise. I did not expect that. That was great. And then that last hour, wow, that was a top tier level episode for sure. Seeing Zeke and David go up against each other was just awesome. It really was just awesome. I think the biggest thing I always take away from whenever I see rocks being drawn is whether or not it was a really worth it. Was it a good idea? And I mean, I think you guys pointed out the fact that I don't know how much of a good idea this was for Jessica. Obviously, in hindsight, of course, she drew the black rock. But, really, did she really need to go to that? I think she should have stuck to her gun, obviously, at this point. I mean, we're playing money quarterback here, but really, there is a certain time, though, where I think drawing rocks is crucial and important to do that. When you've got a really tight alliance, one that you can trust 100%, and it's your alliance against that other alliance, and whoever, of course, wins out on that rock draw is going to take control of the game. And I think it is crucial for that. I mean, obviously, this thing's worked out perfectly for Zeke, putting him even more in control than ever. Although, of course, he does have a target on his back, just like, of course, David still does. But he's at least in control for now. And so, really, anything can happen as long as he, takes control and figures out who he can get rid of and who he can't get rid of. That's not going to leave him too wide open to be a target. I mean, obviously, he needs to keep a few targets around. Then keeping Jay around would probably be very important as well. Overall, I just wanted to call in and then let you guys know that I just absolutely love this episode. This season has been really surprising. I mean, I normally don't agree with Jeff Probst, but he was right. These guys are playing hard as if they were, their second time around. So it's been very entertaining. I cannot wait to see what happens next week. I have no idea who's going to go home. Assuming that Zeke, of course, is going to be in control. I mean, obviously, David's going to be on the chopping block. Ken's going to be on the chopping block, so we'll see how that plays out. Will Ken get a chance to use that advantage that he got from Jessica? Probably not, but we shall see. So right now, I think I probably will go with somebody like a Ken to go home next. That's who I'm thinking about. But of course, I'm sure I'll change my mind right before the episode airs. All right, well, that's it for me. You guys take care. I can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say. And until next time, this is Jeremiah from SoCal.
All right. Thanks, Jeremiah. Great to hear from you there.
If Ken did get voted off next, he would probably will it to David.
Yeah, could be.
David could end up with it.
Certainly could. Yep.
On day 36.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him go out soon. I was also looking at the roster when Jeremiah was talking about that, referring to the level of gameplay. And with the exception of Ken, all the people that are left once they got rid of Michelle and Taylor, who I just didn't believe either one of them were very big fans, right, that knew much about the game, actually. With the exception of Ken, everyone who was left in is a huge fan.
You don't think Ken's a fan?
I don't think Ken was watching Survivor while he was living for years off the grid in Hawaii.
Yeah. Or
so I think Ken got cast because of the way Ken looks. But the other folks who are on there are all self-professed huge Survivor fans, I think. Even Jay. So Jay seems to know a lot about it. He's probably the only one I would question.
Well, I do like that they're all playing hard. And
that shows you what knowledge of the game can do for you.
Yes, I agree.
And we've seen plenty of people who have knowledge of the game come in and blow it. And David almost did that right out of the gate, the way he started his season.
Well, Jessica
but he got a break. Yeah, I don't think she goofed up the way he did, though. I wouldn't even begin to compare them. I didn't think she was as significant, but certainly she was a fan, and you could tell it meant something to her.
Would have gone out fourth had he not saved her.
Yeah, I know that part. Sure, it's just she wasn't playing at a high level or anything at that point. She was kind of goofing everything up everywhere she went early in the game.
Okay.
That's my recollection of her.
All right, well, let's hear what Paul has to say.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, Louisiana here. So, yeah, first off, I have to say that I really loved that snake challenge. Now on to the meat of the matter. Poor Jessica. I guess fate was truly against her this time around, but if it weren't for David, she would have been gone long ago. She was almost my original pick for a USB because I loved her smile in her picture, but that sad face and sobbing when she left, wow, it just made my heart break. And speaking of David, I wonder what it feels like to completely waste an idol. At the start of the episode, I thought that with everyone rallying for him, there was an actual chance he could win this game, which had me mortified because I traded him in as my USB. But by the end, I'm feeling fine about leaving him. I think I liked him better when he was neurotic, and that's sad because I disliked him then. Now he has an air about him that just sort of rubs me wrong. It's like Ken was the nerdy kid who was picked on that became good-looking and maintained his social awkwardness, while David has traded his awkwardness in for something that leaves you with the feeling like you've got tinfoil in your mouth. It's just not good. But I picked Zeke, and I don't know, I think he's grown the same way. It's odd how Millennials versus Gen X has turned into a battle between Zeke and David. And yeah, I guess I was wrong about Sunday's gunning for Jessica being her own downfall, but never in a million years did I believe that Hannah and Sunday would be the last women standing. But that tribal, wow. Wednesday Night TV was much more exciting than I ever dreamed it would be. So is Sunday a better player than I thought? Throwing out Ken's name was what made that all go down as it did, and she 100% saved Zeke. I wonder if that sunk in. Zeke owes Sunday the way Jessica owed David. It was honestly amazing, though. Adam, on the other hand, whoa. Talk about a guy who isn't having a good game. I mean, if he makes it to Final 3, he's going to be attacked by the jury badly. As much as Sunday saved Zeke, Adam was the one who ultimately sent Jessica home. And I'm thinking that he steals a family reunion reward. What he should have done was stole Jessica's Black Rock. He's made bad decisions up to this point. Why change now? And amazingly, no one went after Jay. All of this could have been avoided if they threw votes at Jay to make him play an idol. Personally, I hate the way, season after season, people don't vote for an idol holder because they're afraid of it. The longer you let them hold it, the worse off you are. In my playbook, a known idol should be the first and foremost target. But Jay was left out of everything and ultimately safe at that drawing. But is it me, or did he appear to be, well, unnerved at Jessica's leaving? I think his eyes were opened at this tribal, and that he sees that it's more than just a game to these people that are playing, and that being there demands that you take it seriously. And I wonder why Brett was so over at a tribal. It was as though someone threw a switch and he went into rage mode. Did we miss something, or was the cluster term just too much for him? I do agree, though. This is the game, and you play it as it unfolds. Outwit, outlast, outplay, right? So what's next? We see Will ready to flip, and that's probably because he was the one who, on his alliance, asked if everyone was willing to risk their game for Zeke. I'm foolishly thinking that Jay will be willing to work with David also. If so, Zeke may be the man out. Yeah, he's my USB, but I have to seriously think this through. I guess that's it for me. Bye now.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, we saw Will flip on Jay. Now he's willing to flip again. That's not much of a surprise. I don't think it's going to build his resume necessarily, though.
No, but...
He's going to be a flip-flopper.
Well, who isn't? I mean, Ken isn't, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But Zeke's a flip-flopper, too. He's flip-flopped all over the place and let Jessica know that, hey, I change alliances all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's not making excuses for it, so...
Yeah, I don't think he really spun it that way. He just meant that he's willing to include her in his group. That's different.
He was after a goal. But,
assurance.
But come on, everybody knows that he's been all over. And heaven knows Jay will go wherever it's not me.
Sure. Smart way to play at this point for him.
Oh, yeah.
Keeps working.
Pretty much the only way to play for him.
Well, I loved all the summaries there. Good job, everyone. How about a JSFL update? We didn't really have time for that because we needed Steve to run the, because it's when there's a double boot.
That's beyond my capabilities.
Yeah, so we got the numbers now.
Steve's the brain of
You
the
got an
group.
update for us?
I do. There are 4 people at this late date who are tied for first place with 46 points.
All right.
15 people lost their USB for Chris and 15 for Jessica as well. 97 people lost a safe point for Chris and 59 for Jessica. 32 people gained a vote-off point for Chris and 79 gained a point for Jessica. As far as the challengers go, in the lead with 44 points is Jeremiah. Congratulations. With 43, Brandon and Noom. 42, Cold Mike and Stacy.
Moving on up now. Moving on up.
You think you're kind of still in the same spot?
No.
Okay. 41, Aaron, Hubaloo, James and Shannon. With 40, Iron Dave and Tyler. With 39, Carolyn. And with 38, Jonathan and Kitty Cat.
Jonathan is awesome. Is going to cover the bottom for us, and we really appreciate that. Thanks for keeping Kitty Cat company, too.
Stacy does love to poke.
We would like... We want to thank everybody who took the time to send in their thoughts and predictions and share your personal experiences. All of that was really great. Thank you very much for that this week with this awesome double episode. Big thanks to Emily and BostonMark for your donations. We appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Don't forget to get your picks in before the deadline on Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time. So who was your prediction to go next?
I don't think we made predictions for going next.
Yeah, I haven't, because I have no idea, quite honestly. But,
They really need to move on Jay. I just don't see it happening.
I think that's nuts that they're not doing that. I thought it was nuts this time. You know, I'm with the people that thought, why didn't they push harder on Jay to play it? They made him
They didn't feel like they could risk the split, though.
He's reading people really well.
Right.
You know, he's listening, and he weighed that beautifully. But can they pop him with that same thing?
They have to reunite as a majority to do that, and it doesn't seem likely. That's what kept them from doing it when Chris went out.
Yeah.
They couldn't trust each other enough to split votes and knock his idol out to make a strategic choice to do that.
Well, and it's still 2-2 with the Gen Xers. They're still split. So
You're talking about with the jury? Who's in the jury?
No, I'm talking about who's left.
Oh, okay. Either way, it's split.
Brett and Sunday and David and Ken.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, the Millennials could just take over and get rid of all the Gen Xers and stay the way they are.
Right.
Go into the Final Five together. I don't know that it would behoove them to do that, but they could.
Doesn't seem likely.
No, it doesn't at this point.
Especially with folks with their games evolving.
My point is the Gen Xers allowed themselves to become vulnerable when they actually had the numbers. Had they stuck with reducing getting rid of Jay and Will first.
So I'd say either David or Ken if that were to happen. That would be your best choice. You know, David doesn't have an idol anymore. Take him out. You know, Ken's a threat to win. Take him out because of his social game if that is indeed the case. I'm still a little leery of being full on board with Ken because there's something about how he plays socially that I don't think connects him to everyone, even though, like we said, he's really good with situational awareness.
Well, and I think Hannah kind of flatters everyone. So, but
You know what? Honestly,
Zeke knows now.
I don't trust or I don't place a lot of value in anything she says because she's just so all over the place.
Yeah, true. However, she's been very observant and accurate with her observations.
She has moments, but I don't think
moments.
she's consistent. Yeah.
When she has clarity on
Who do you
that.
think's ahead, her or Sunday, in terms of building their resume in the game?
I don't know. They might be more equal.
I think Sunday tilted the balance with her misdirect on Ken. She's got a story. Hannah's story is, I tried to calm Adam down.
Well, yeah, she's got others.
Right, I tried to calm David down. That's all that we've really gotten to see. And her being a calming influence doesn't carry a lot of weight because there's not a lot calming about her. She could tip over at any point.
Maybe we haven't seen all she's got yet.
That's true. Let's hope so.
So I'm waiting. I'm really anxious to see what's going to happen to get rid of some of the people, because otherwise they're going into the finale with what, 7? Which
yeah, we're going to get another double elimination.
Yeah, I think we have to.
Yeah.
Has to be.
It just may not be in a way that we like. Nothing as good as this one. Going to be something unfortunate.
Let's see. So there's 9 left in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
3rd week being the finale.
Yep.
So
got a ways to go, but it sure has been a good journey so far, and I'm looking forward to the next step.
Me too.
Have a good one.
Have a great weekend, everybody.